Okay, as promised, an exciting in-studio appearance by Frankie Corrado, one of our NHL analysts, one of our favorites. He's rocking a pretty cool gray suit today. Frankie, how are you doing?
What's up, bud? You got one of those goofy pictures for me at the start of the show?
Well, yeah, we like to show. I don't know if it's goofy. I think yours is probably pretty flattering.
I've seen some silly ones. That's got to be producer Kyle scouring the web. I think I saw my LinkedIn picture on there once.
Yeah, probably in there. The picture you had when you were lawn mowing and when you were 13 around the Woodbridge area.
$20 a lawn.
That's right. It's a good deal. It's a good summer job. Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov. So it's just amazing to me because he played it so beautifully. Kirill and his agent really made you think like, wow, they might walk all the way into free agency here. And instead it just goes from a $16 million on the AAV to a $17 million and you get the deal done. Are you surprised that the Wild basically just gave in?
No, I am not surprised. And it's funny, like you talk about, if he walked himself to free agency, he almost had more leverage just dealing with the Minnesota Wild. Because what's the discrepancy on that team between Kirill Kaprizov and the second best player? Who's that? Like Joel Eriksson-Ek or Brock Faber? Like, he really is in such a class of his own on that team. So he held all the cards. And if you're Bill Guerin and the Minnesota Wild, what choice do you have other than to just pay Kirill Kaprizov? Because he's that good. And what happens? What's the fallout on that team if you don't have him? You're already a team that, you make the playoffs, but you don't go very far in the playoffs. And if you don't have Kirill Kaprizov, all of a sudden you're restarting this whole thing over again where, you're handing over the keys to these young players, guys on entry-level contracts, eventually hoping that you find another superstar talent. And you get to the same point with that player, and then you have a decision to make. Do we pay him or do we not pay him? So the Minnesota Wild had no choice. Kirill Kaprizov recognized that, played it perfectly. And if you're a player around the league, you're probably happy that there's someone willing to push the envelope and get those salaries higher. You wouldn't have said that in a flat cap world because the more someone on a team makes, the less there is for everyone else. But who knows how much the cap is going to go up now in the next 3, 4, 5 years. It's going to be a lot of money.
Yep.
So guys like Kirill Kaprizov, they can push the envelope and get more for other players.
You said something right there that really resonates with me. As a former player, how are the other players reacting to this deal? Are they looking now? McDavid still hasn't signed yet. And there's also speculation that he's going to sign for less than Kaprizov on the AAV because he wants to win. But at the same time, if you're another player from another team, aren't you saying, hey, you're the best player in the game. You need to get more than Kirill Kaprizov.
100%, yeah. And look at it this way. Because Kirill Kaprizov comes in now at $17 million, Connor McDavid can sign a deal for 17.5, and you and I can talk about it on your show and say, Connor McDavid left money on the table for the Edmonton Oilers because he's at least a $2.5 million player more than Kirill Kaprizov, but he didn't have to go there because he said, you know what, I've been talking about winning in Edmonton, and that's what it's all about. And so, yeah, I have a duty. Connor McDavid does have a duty as the unanimous best player in the NHL to eventually be the highest paid guy, and he's coming up. So, from a player's point of view, I think he has to take more than Kaprizov, but he can take just a little bit more, and he can get so much goodwill in his market, outside the market. You would win over all the players who obviously, would want him to take more.
Yeah.
And we'll look at it and say, if he just took $500,000 more than Kaprizov, he left money on the table for the Edmonton Oilers, and that's a lot of money.
What if he actually takes even less? What if he takes, just as an example, 15 on a 3-year deal?
That would be so crazy. I think that would be so crazy to even for him to even want to go there. I get because he's talked about wanting to win, you have to leave some money on the table.
Yep.
But we were on Overdrive, and Mike Johnson brought up a great point. Sometimes players do that, and they allow the general managers to spend more money. They don't spend it wisely.
Right.
So and MJ was right. Just spend the extra money on the star guy. What you're getting out of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Kirill Kaprizov. So you're okay spending a little more there instead of the unknown of how you're going to sprinkle that money around. But there's no way. There's no way. For me, Connor McDavid has an obligation to make more than Kirill Kaprizov, and he can do it in a fashion that still insinuates that he left money on the table.
And as you pointed out earlier, cap's going up. So we don't even know how much cap room the Oilers might have anyway at this point. So take what you can get, Connor. I mean, you're only going around this world once. Now, Jack Eichel and Kyle Connor are the other two of the big four potential unrestricted free agents. Obviously, Kirill's off the board now. Does this Kirill deal affect those two contracts from Connor and Eichel in any way, shape, or form?
Listen, if you are Connor and Eichel and you're their agents, you will argue that it does, because yes, this is the new benchmark, and you look at it and say, what are my client's numbers compared to this guy's numbers? But it does truly feel like an outlier because of what we talked about, the dynamic between Kaprizov and the field for the Minnesota Wild. Well, what's the dynamic between Eichel and the field for the Vegas Golden Knights? Like, there's not that huge separation. There's not that huge separation with the Winnipeg Jets, Mark Scheifele, Connor Hellebuck, Josh Morrissey. You know, you go down the list of guys that are going to sign, Artemi Panarin. So, you know, they are not, I guess, negotiating under the same circumstances that Kirill Kaprizov was. But with that being said, like, think about this: if you're Kyle Connor now, you're in line to make, I don't know, it's got to be $12 million, does it not?
I think 12 is very realistic.
12 is realistic, and it's honestly going to be reasonable. Kyle Connor's not $5 million less of a player than Kirill Kaprizov.
Right.
But think about the team dynamic now. Like, Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele signed a couple years ago for $8.5. And like, because there's all this more, like, you know, this more money at play, like, that's going to be the market value for Kyle Connor. I think the Jack Eichel thing, you know, number one center, two-way guy, elite force both ways, Stanley Cup champion. Like, he's going to get his money, and he was going to get what he was going to get regardless of what Kaprizov got, because it's a premium position and because of, you know, his important role. But I mean, if you're an agent, if you're a player and you're coming up this year, you're doing everything you can to say, like, okay, that's the new benchmark. I am this much lesser. Okay, well, that equals way more money than it used to.
And, you know, you mentioned like a number like 12 on the AAV for Connor. If you're the Jets and he agrees to that deal, like, aren't you trying to lock that down immediately? I'm surprised it's taking this long, I guess is what I'm saying. He apparently wants to still be there.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, that's not the case with every player who plays in Winnipeg.
Well, I mean, Jack Eichel probably wants to be in Vegas.
He does,
right?
apparently, right?
Like Connor McDavid would probably want to be in Edmonton, you would think. Like, there's just, I guess there's no rush for these things to get done, because the players are going to be good, they're going to be productive, the teams know what they are. Just wanted to see maybe one domino fall.
Yeah,
and see where everything kind of lies after that, because, you know, no player, even Connor McDavid on his own team, like Leon Draisaitl, is very, very good. Like, they're 1A and 1B. Like, no one has this discrepancy of being the best player and the rest of the pack and having the opportunity to leverage their contract negotiation the way that Kirill Kaprizov did.
Even the Draisaitl deal signed just last summer. Suddenly is starting to look like a bargain for that guy. It's incredible how things change with this cap going up and up. And I just want to switch gears really quickly, because Lane Hutson, who won the Calder Trophy last year, another goal and an assist in preseason action on Tuesday night. So he's continuing to turn heads. Got a ton of high praise. Habs played the Leafs over the weekend. Leafs players very complimentary about Hutson. He didn't make the TSN top 50 list this year. How high could he potentially go next year, in your opinion?
He'll be on it next year, because he's going to have a big year. And what's going to happen for Lane Hutson is, if he has a repeat performance of last year, which I think he will, he's going to be in that tier of super offensive defenseman. Cale Makar is, you know, he's the king, but he's great both ways. Quinn Hughes, super elite, you know, offensive defenseman. I think Lane Hutson has a chance to be, like, right there. Like, Quinn Hughes, Adam Fox. And the thing about this top 50 list you do have to keep in mind is it's not all about points and points per game. Like, you know, steady two-way guys like Gus Forsling, Jacob Slavin, like, these guys make the list because they are the best at what they do defensively. But Lane Hutson is going to be, you know, so potent offensively. He's made a lot of strides defensively last year, and I expect that to continue this year. So I think he's probably, like, if he has the year I think he's going to have, he's maybe in like the high 30s, let's
Wow.
say. Like
Yeah.
I think he jumps up that much.
You look at the Calder finalists from last year, you look at the Celebrinis, you look at Dustin Wolf, like all those guys potentially could move into the top 50, maybe not next year, but in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and okay, so talking about, salary cap and teams who went through negotiations, the Montreal Canadiens now have all their guys locked up.
Right.
At like very reasonable cap hits. Like Nick
Absolutely.
Suzuki's making less than $8 million a year. If he was coming up today, he's in the same conversation for like Jack Eichel money.
Right.
Considering the two-way prowess that
And
he
the
has.
season he just had last year.
Exactly. The season he has, how important he is to that team. And now Lane Hutson is going to be able to like negotiate his contract. He should be the highest paid player on the Habs based on where the money is going, like with the salary cap and his value to the team, and the fact that like he's such a point producer. He should be the highest paid player when his deal eventually gets done.
But we have to see how the Demidov full season goes this year.
Yeah.
Maybe that pushes that one even, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he
No
becomes the
kidding.
highest.
Yeah.
The Habs are such an intriguing team. You get to cover them all season long. You must be looking forward to this, buddy.
It should be fun. There's always a buzz there, like no matter what. But especially this year, having been there, a little bit in the preseason, you can feel there's a lot of excitement around that team.
Has Brian Mudryk returned from one of his many international golf trips? Like, will he even make it to the first game?
No, he's there. I heard
Okay.
super tight pants this year too,
Yes.
so he's
Yes.
ready to go.
The pants get tighter, and he continues to deliver each and every year, just like this guy, Frankie Corrado.